everyone. My name is Rishikesh Nare, and we welcome you to our special series, The Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. It's an initiative by ETH, and the key to cutting chai conversation is to have a good discussion around your areas of early life, education to grooming, training, business sense, skill augmentation to work-life balance. And before we begin, let me set the context right. Cutting Chai is a series of candid conversations and where we take you through the inspirational journeys of influential people. You all have seen these personalities in the corporate world, different avatar, but we are taking them away from that boardroom drama for some time to have or reveal or uncover some personal secrets. So today we have with us Mr. Pramod Agrawal, Vice President and Regional CTO for Automation Anywhere. Pramod, hi, and thank you so much. Thanks for your time, because that is the most valuable asset in today's world. So thanks for your time. Thanks for that valuable, thing sharing with us.
Thank you, Rishikesh. I'm so happy to be part of a casual conversation. This is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be even better. So what do you expect? Okay. It's going to be even better. Yeah. So let's jump to the conclusion and let's go back to the memory lane, the childhood days. Yeah. So just take us through your childhood days. Which city you belong to? What sort of vibe that city had, and your schooling, your parenting, your teachers, and you being mischievous and you're not being getting caught anywhere. So the secret formula as well.
I think the last part is difficult for me, but let me talk about. So I was born in Jaipur, but very shortly, before I was 1 year old, I was moved to Delhi. So my primary growth has been in Delhi. I grew up in Delhi, and I think for anybody who knows Delhi, the old Delhi, which I call the real Delhi other than the Lutyens' Delhi, is where I grew up, and grew up in a fairly middle-class environment, but an environment which I think was very representative of my times of childhood, very focused on education. And my mother was totally behind that all her kids had to be educated. And she, being illiterate herself, I think she took a burden on herself to get all of us great education. And that I think has been an influence on me, that there are certain things that you have to, I think, stick to. And my mother's definitely stuck to this fact of educating all her kids. And I think what we are today what I am today is all because of education. There is nothing else that I can contribute, whatever success I've had in my career, to anything but education. Now it's a different matter that had I gone into business, I don't know where I would have been. But today, what I am is because of education and hard work. I think the times that I grew up in, the environment that I grew up in, I think the hard work was a value that every middle class child got taught, that you earn things with hard work. So I think, that was quite, I think this was boring from the conversation perspective, but I think
no, not really. I mean, patience. See, right now in today's world, and if you look at those Gen Zs and millennials, they do not know these words: patience, perseverance, and consistency. Yeah. So, if someone is saying with some gray hair, and I've got few as well, so people should listen to them.
Yeah. So growing up, hard work, education was focus. We only knew two careers: engineering and medicine. I had admissions from medicine colleges as well as engineering colleges, but I chose engineering because that seemed to be the path to quicker success in career. So for no other reason, and I had an influence from my uncle, who was a fairly senior person in the telecom with BSNL, and at that time I think it was MTNL. So engineering seemed like a elite kind of career at that time, and I was quite motivated by that.
What are you doing? Like, I'm doing engineering. Huh? Like, in your circle, like, what are you doing? Dude, I'm doing engineering, and then people like, okay, respect.
You're doing engineering, yes, and medicine was also respect. I think the CA came next, at least at that time.
I'm just thinking that and how are we deciding the hierarchies of the preferences. But yeah, that is the whole point, what career you choose. It medicines and engineering, it's
Yeah.
the first recommendation of
Yeah.
any parent out there in this country. But
Yeah.
now, and mostly people, like, they go as per their calling, and
Yeah.
you had that calling for engineering, you did that. Thank God
Yes.
you had that clarity at that point of time, because clarity is something that nobody has. Even I don't have, but maybe that credit goes to your, the way your mom, the parenting had happened.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I saw my uncle, and he was the only engineer I knew in the family and my circle, right? And everybody else was a business person. And I saw the difference in life of an engineer versus a business person. Right? And I think that may have made my decision easier at that time. One of the things that I did get hooked into was around grade 9th and grade 10th. These computer games parlors started coming up near my house. And it used to fall exactly halfway distance between my home and the school. So we used to sneak out around I forget what's called, the halftime.
Yeah.
And most
in
of
in a very simple language, you guys used to bunk classes and go there.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
So halftime, go there, spend a couple of hours there, and then come back right before the last period. So our attendance was recorded again. And but I have to say that it didn't impact my grades. So I was quite lucky that way. Okay. And nobody caught me. Nobody caught me bunking all the classes. And I think the reason for that was that teachers were also bunking and the students were also bunking.
Oh,
so
this is the first time I'm listening to this fact that teachers were bunking. So why would...
This was a government school.
Okay.
Government school. The math teacher was actually a teacher who used to run a dairy. So he used to show up in between his milking times.
Yeah, milking, packaging, and distribution time.
Yeah, and but I think in an interesting way, when I see the education today and education in my times, I felt like I had so much freedom to pursue and read whatever I wanted, even though I didn't have a lot of access to books. And I studied most of the material myself, and I never had sort of access to tuitions or access to these guidebooks and all of that. But just reading those books yourself, making sense of them, seemed just enough. And I feel like today the education has come to a point where it is much more scripted. And I think it is, in a way, we are fulfilling the dreams of, I think it was Macaulay who put in the British education system to make everybody a clerk.
Right.
I think today we are very rigorously pursuing that path. And this particular gentleman from, I think 250 years ago must be laughing in his grave right now that, look, I put these guys onto that path.
Yeah. This is what I have done, and this is how it is impacting.
Yeah, it has reached a point where I think it is so scripted and so structured that I think it needs a change.
Right. But we must give credit to that guy who had set up that video game parlor right in between the way where actually students they go.
Yeah,
it's a very convenient location. Very smart fellow. And what kind of games that you used to play, or you were the one like?
There were these, those games that used to come with dot matrix kind of things.
Pac-Man,
Tetris,
Pac-Man.
Yeah, those games.
So were you the one who would play, or the one who would just stand there and watch? Because I used to do that because my friend used to play, and I used to just stand there behind the computer, like 10 friends standing behind the computer and watching and looking at them. That's
definitely the scene. But I think in my times we got equal opportunity.
Oh, you believed in that because you all were criminals in that particular thing, that act.
It was equal opportunity. Each of us had very little money to pull in, and then the guy was very nice. The guy was very nice. He didn't really care if he paid or if he didn't pay. He said, "Okay."
But he never asked you guys that, "Kya tum log ka to school chalu and you guys are here," or he was accommodative, fine enough.
I think he knew that, and I don't know whether this guy was also a teacher somewhere. So he knew.
Could be like your maths teacher or another teacher here, or dairy to run. Maybe this could be his second business. but
Yeah.
he knew the pulse of the people, and that's more important. So that was your schooling part, and tell us something about your college days.
College, I went to IIT Roorkee. I had selections between Dhanbad, Roorkee, Maulana Azad Medical College, Hindu. So I chose Roorkee, and I was put into the material science branch. It used to be called metallurgy at that time. And it was a great experience because that was the first time I got exposed to English as a language. In my school, my English teacher also used to teach English in the Hindi medium.
Like how? ये ऐसे बोलना है, ये इंग्लिश में कैसे बोलना है, तो वो वैसे ही बोलना है, the way I said it, ऐसे कुछ.
Oh, I don't remember, but I think he himself had difficulty reading English.
Right.
So he knew when a sort of an essay is responded to in a paper or test paper or something, that he had what needed to be scored against. So he knew if this line was not written correctly against the answer sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the combination. If this combination is not working, minus kar do sare marks.
And neither we nor he would knew whether we were corrected correctly or not.
So it was a game that who's the smartest, like who understands the question. And what if someone challenges ki sir nahi, ye to mera right hai, this is absolutely right, then he will say,
no, of course. Yeah, if you fight, he'll give you a mark. If you fight, he'll give you a mark. So Roorkee was my first year when I got exposed to English as a medium of learning. And it was, I think, good 3 to 4 months before I could really begin to understand the lectures fully. And I think my scores got impacted in the first semester, but then I picked up later on. But it was a great learning experience for me because that was, I think, the first 4 years of formal education for me. Right. And many of the teachers were just fantastic. They were really inspirational and role models in the way they practice this faculty of engineering. And many of them were great researchers. And I was quite fortunate to be the one who was liked by one or two of these guys.
Right.
So it was an early rooting for me in looking at subjects in a much more deeper manner. And that inspired me to think about even PhD and being a professor in an academic career. And then I took admission in Ohio State University in 1995. In between, I spent 2 years at Hindalco doing quality and R&D work. But the teacher, Dr. A.K. Patwardhan, was a great influence. And he was also my advisor for my undergraduate thesis. I got admission into the PhD program at Ohio State, primarily because he saw that I could do some serious research and that I had that kind of patience, if you will, to look at things in different ways and also carry out the work that was required to make that research happen. So I got, I think in that sense, my 4 years at Roorkee were my sort of foundational years from education perspective. Right? And I wish that similar environment was available in grades, say, 11th, 12th, right? Because I think you need to get into this kind of serious business of life. I think when you're
like sincere mode where you understand the repercussions and you're acting accordingly.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you've also done your some bit of studies in Boston, right? Have you mentioned about this?
I worked in Boston.
You worked in Boston.
Ohio State in Columbus. Yeah, I worked in Boston.
Yeah. So because I wanted to, ask you the comparison between the hostel life, international and Indian. But yeah, as engineers, you guys have had, I think, many, distractions, because engineer students, like all engineer friends, they are saying that the only constant with us is the distractions. No matter what you want to do, there will be a distraction for each level. Like अगर तेरे को 5 मिनट टाइम पास करना है उसके लिए भी डिस्ट्रैक्शन है, और तेरे को 5 days का भी टाइम पास करना है, तो there is a set of distractions. So were you distracted by any of these things in between? You did something what you were not supposed to do, but you still did because you knew that engineer है, smart हूँ, कुछ तो way out निकाल ही लूंगा.
I don't know if I can correlate to that distraction bit, but I think I met my wife at Ohio State,
Okay,
and
that's the biggest distraction now we're talking about. Great, great. We'd
so,
love to hear that.
so she used to be genuinely pissed at me because my research work required me to work until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, and spending long hours. And it was her conviction that I avoided her, and I claimed that I was doing some work in the lab. But I think it's important to have these kind of relationships in early life because they bring balance to the life.
Yeah.
And you really need to be part of the life in the society as much as you want to be pursuing a career. And I think early relationships are very helpful in bringing that balance to life.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to that fact because I did not understand this bit, but now, like 1 year ago, I was thinking that, oh yeah, I got into relationship at the age of say 20, and then 7 years of relation, then I got married. Now my friends, they still don't have, they're not into relations, and I'm saying that when are they going to start that journey? Your initial bit, your honeymoon period, and then they will, by the time they get everything, they will reach 50. I was like, यार मैंने तो सही कुछ नहीं सही किया लाइफ में, लेकिन मैंने ये सही किया कि एक रिलेशनशिप मेरा टाइम पे हो गया और टाइम पे शादी हो गई. Ab, right? You're ready. Like in your 35, like I'm ready with whatever can happen. You know how to deal with that relationship, and it teaches you a lot because somewhere down the line, somewhere in your mind, that you are responsible for one more person or one more human being. And then if you are children, then you have another set of people to to worry about. Then you take your actions in a different way. I mean, you're still that edgy, you're still that aggressive, but you try to eliminate that risk element. That is something I truly agree with. So then you move to your
I just want to say that I think
relationship.
You're not eliminating the risk element really. I think what you're really doing is there is a certain pace to life, and let's say now I do say angel investing, and these are basically investments where your money is guaranteed not to be returned to you, right? It's about understanding risk better. And I think you can take better risks if you understand the life. I think they're not disconnected with each other.
Right. I mean, I'm learning. I just picked up your point that, it's not about, it's not a risk element. Is that how you approach or how ready you are with that, with that mindset to that particular situation.
Today, for some of the proposals that come through, for angel investing or early stage investing, I actually sometimes go to my daughters, one is 11 and one is 16, and say, would you use this product, right?
Oh, interesting.
And I get phenomenal perspectives from them, whether they will at all touch it or not.
Okay. Unbiased opinions.
And they are really living a digital age, right? They're true digital natives. So if they cannot see value in a product, because it doesn't fit the way they see and work through everything digital that surrounds them, I think they can get much better sense of it than I can.
Right.
And again, that's an example of how life is part of your career. I think they are all together. They're not separate from each other.
Right. It's not professional, personal. It's your life. Like you get up and you don't tell yourself कि यार नहीं अभी तो आज मेरा professional day है और आज मेरा personal day. It comes as a package, and very few people they could manage this this balance, and that's the biggest struggle happening across the globe right now. I think on mental health, most of the brands, like bigger brands, they're spending time, they're giving away so many things to their employees because they know if they keep their employees in a better mental standards, if they maintain better mental standards for the employees, the output is phenomenal. Is different. It's not about, of course you have to put in those work hours, but again, if you just know that, what's happening, because I've read this report where LG is actually, they make sure that the personal life of that worker who's there working in the factory is right. Their toilet is clean there. I don't know whether that is the whole, ecosystem where they want to keep their employee engaged and happy with the brand, and that is where employee never leaves, and that's how you maintain standards. I mean, there's so many things.
I think that's right. I probably want to extend that argument by saying that employees in are a very important stakeholder in a company, right? And you don't want to do things because it matters to the brand. You want to genuinely be empathetic to the employee and their lives, right? If you're thinking something from your brand perspective, that I want to maintain my brand and therefore I should give this to my employee, I don't think you're going to make the right decisions. You're going to be making the right decisions if it comes from the place of empathy.
Right.
To truly believe in that idea that employees are the stakeholders, they are the ones who are going to lead me to the next chapter of growth. Because like going back to the argument about life and career, when you have, say, any number of employees, whether you're a 20 people company or a 5,000 people company, I think these people are what your product and markets are, right? They're genuinely part of that whole thing. They're not disconnected from it.
Right. It's the one thread. Like, those anecdotes will come in picture one fine day and they will culminate into one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your brand represents something, then your employees represent that directly.
Right. Absolutely correct. So before we move into the next segment, one question I want to ask, because whenever I see someone who has been to abroad, any country, I'm fascinated with that fact, because it's a different culture, different style, and different way of managing things. So how was your life in Boston? Have you ever pulled by a cop? I mean, these are the usual questions that I ask, because that is what we see in movies. So anything of that sort, your fun time, just tell us about that, and then we'll move to our next segment.
Boston is a great place. I was not pulled by a cop in Boston. The usual stories about a cop pulling you in America is about overspeeding. Mine is, I was on a romantic drive with my girlfriend, and I was underspeeding. So I was driving at 35.
Sorry, it's an embarrassment.
So yeah, and the romantic drive was made possible by my cheap college car, because it used to overheat if I drove above a certain speed limit. So I was bound by the equipment that I was driving.
So I mean, had that happened? Like the cop, they said that no, so wait. I don't know how do they talk, but if you can just tell us how they talk.
They come with their siren. The lights are coming behind. You're supposed to slow down. You go to the right hand side of the road. You stop. You roll down your windows. You make sure your hands are clear on the steering, and then you talk to them. Right? You have to go through the whole thing. It's an experience.
It's like a movie, right? What we see.
It's like a movie. It's like Boston is a different place. I think out of all the places I've visited around the globe, I have a special place for Boston in my heart. It's called as Beantown. And if you go to the Cambridge side of the things, basically Cambridge and Boston are like twin cities separated by Charles River. You go to the Cambridge side of things, and with MIT and Harvard, with lots of these brilliant outside cafes and some fantastic microbreweries. The whole environment of the Cambridge is such that if you go there in the evening, in summer especially, you will find musicians playing, street performers doing their work, somebody singing, and a lot of students. They would just come out with their guitars and they will just play on the wood, and people will gather around and enjoy the music.
It's a right kind of atmosphere.
It's electric. You go there, you lose your stress. You just have to go there and lose your stress. So it's a wonderful place. And then whether it is winter or whether it's summer, you take a stroll on the Charles River and you feel refreshed. There are people jogging on the side, running on the side. Kind of like, I think, kind of like Mumbai in a way, but very calm and serene around the Charles River. So I really loved the Boston. Boston is called Beantown. Bangalore is called Beantown. So I actually moved from Beantown to Beantown that way.
So, when now, one thing you say, if we give you a time machine today, and if you have an opportunity to meet the 8-year-old version of Pramod Agrawal, and if you see yourself in the school or in that video parlor, and if you see yourself, what message or what is the line that you want to say to your younger version?
I would tell my younger version to be more bold and more outgoing.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, it's a very to the point, and
Yeah.
just to make someone understand कि ये ऐसे करना है बस. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
So I would, for example, tell this guy in the video parlor to say that games are great for fun and everything, right? And you should do more of that probably. But also say, I would have advised that person, though today's environment is so different than the environment then, to have bigger dreams about yourself,
right.
rather than being guided by what you are seeing right now in your environment as your constraints. You should dream.
Right.
And I would have liked that person to have dreamt bigger.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it now. Nice one. Nice way to put it across. Just
Yeah.
dream bigger. Whatever you're doing today, currently, whatever you're doing,
Yeah,
maybe you're doing good, but dream bigger.
yeah, dream bigger.
Very, very, very nice, a smaller piece where you could just I can keep it with myself. I can tell people now, because I usually do, these things. I steal everything from my guests, my host and experts, and I show off to the world, though I give due credit.
We learn from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, we have another expert with us today, Aditya Agrawal. He's the head of large enterprise business for Lenovo India. And I'm going to ask you one question to both of you, because when it comes to technology, my knowledge restricts here. That's it. From a layman's perspective, we have seen exponential growth happening in the last 18 months because of so many circumstances that we all have faced as a humanity, as a globe. From an end user computing, or maybe any software development, I don't know. We have seen exponential growth in the digital transformation field. From a layman's perspective, what do I expect? What's going to happen in next 1 year? I mean, if I ask you this question, and anybody can start. Aditya, you want to start, or Pramod? I mean, Agarwal can start, or Agrawal can start, whichever it is. Whichever.
Let's hear Pramod. Let's hear Pramod.
Okay, so next 1 year, I think is going to be, so we have just, I think, gone through a pandemic period, right? A lot of investments in technology happened because of the need of the hour, right? They were driven by what needs to be done today to make sure that I don't lose customers, I don't lose revenue, I can keep paying things to my vendors, right? Just to keep things running, right? Business continuity was the goal for last 1 year of technology investment. What the last 1 year has done is it has built what I call as a habit of digital. It has built a habit of digital in the boardroom to start asking the question that now that the habits have changed, whether it is customers, it's employees, it is vendors, it's regulatory bodies, everybody has changed their habit, right? So you've essentially entered into now in a different era where you're actually meeting a different customer, you're meeting a different employee. So now you have to look at your business and say, how do I capitalize on this changed habit of digital and transform my business? So I am proactively investing in leveraging this new trend of digital. So that's what I would say starting to happen now, where you're looking at it from a very different lens.
Aditya, your thoughts on this?
Yep, because you mentioned 1 year, Rishi, I think, and on the lines of what Pramod said, I think we'll figure out the whole hybrid more in the next 1 year to come. Because past 1.5, 2 years, we have been on exclusive digital, right? We are not meeting customers, we are not meeting face to face, right? We have had a totally face-to-face economy going to totally digital, and I believe that we will get into a hybrid situation. So, for example, if you do a meeting today, right, we know that a meeting is either, if it is face-to-face, it's effective, or if everyone is virtual, is effective, right? The moment you have a meeting where half the people are face-to-face and half the people are virtual, it leads to all sorts of chaos, because people on the virtual call can't figure out what people are saying. So I think technology needs to enable that, and that's something that we will see. Plus, we'll start seeing, while 1 year may be a bit too short, but as I've said earlier, also our customers, especially from vendors like us, customers are expecting things to be faster, cheaper, and better, right? So we are constantly going to see innovation in that space. And the third place is we see the IoT also becoming more and more important. Of course, all of this, the fundamental layer of security, predictability with technology enabling people to be secure and productive at the same time is definitely going to see a lot of action. That's what my prognosis for next 1 year is going to be.
Yeah, and I think I can plug in by saying that the rapid advancements that we saw in the last few years with artificial intelligence, automation, I think they have become sort of foundational pillars of enterprise technology stack. And on top of what Aditya described, automation and AI together, I think will play that fundamental role in transforming customer experiences. How do we work with partners? How do we have better cash flows, lower working capital? I think everything will become part and parcel of these outcomes that technology investments will strive to achieve.
Yep.
So this was Pramod for you guys. I mean, he's well structured and to the point, someone who has a great sense of clarity. He thinks that people should dream to achieve their aspirations, but within a split second, he says, make sure you dream big. So on that note, that's a very wonderful, very shorter way of explaining things that, do things, but do it big, do it well. And that makes a huge difference. So again, thank you so much. Thanks. It is going to be a privilege for all our viewers who are going to watch this, because one part about I'm extremely impressed with you is the clarity. Like you had two options, and or ऐसे नहीं था कि एक option ऐसे था एक option. So you had like medical and engineering, and you convince yourself कि नहीं, I want to do this. This decision-making process is taking too much of time in all the corporates in today's world, because on simple things we spend time, and I could be a culprit of it because I work in the corporate environment. But yeah, if everyone has a great sense of clarity, then our work will move at a faster pace, and that is something that we all want: quick results and great achievements. But anyways, I had a wonderful time with you, discussing in, I think 25 minutes is not justifying at all, but yeah, we have to do that. But we'll definitely catch you again with a different set of environment, with a different set of setting and a different topic. Yeah.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Rishikesh. It was wonderful. And thank you, Aditya, for support on this.